Zoom, and together we'll be taking a look at what exactly sustainable fashion through handcrafted accessories are, and again, how much can be much when it comes to accessorizing your fabrics or other fashion accessories, because a lot of times we always think that it's just a fabrics. There are other items that of course make up the ensemble when it comes to fashion items. And like I said, our guest will be joining us via Zoom this morning. She's a creative director at the Coral Earth Finery. She's also a millinery designer. Glad to have Tolulope Oyetunji join us in the studio via Zoom this morning. Good morning, Tolulope. How are you today?
Good morning. Thank you very much for having me.
Right.
I'm excited to be here.
All right.
LTV is a station I grew up watching.
Ah, okay. Thank you for that. So let's start this way. Of course, when we say fashion, we've also come to understand that fashion means different things to different people. While some think that fashion is, of course, to go with what's in vogue, others would tell you that no, my own fashion is wear what suits me or what I feel comfortable in. But for you, who is in the industry, what is fashion and what really does it represent to individuals?
Thank you. Fashion for me is a means of self-expression.
Okay.
Like you were saying earlier, some people like beading, some people don't. Some people like their fashion a bit flashy or more conservative. So it's really a form of self-expression. For me, I make hats and headpieces and other accessories. I dabble a little into making clothes as well.
Okay.
But from the sustainable point of view, like if you see me now, I'm wearing a denim hat. This is used from, I made it from upcycled denim.
Okay.
So as opposed to when your kids' clothes get small or it gets tight for you, as opposed to throwing it into a landfill or something like that, you upcycle it and make it into a hat or other accessories, a necklace. There's so much you can do with old fabrics and, so much you can do with there. So for me, fashion is basically self-expression.
Right. Okay.
That's
Yeah. All right. So
peculiar to you as a person.
okay, so you've just dabbled. We'll come back to that in a bit, because again, that's the the thrust of this conversation, where we can begin to look at how to either upcycle or recycle some of the old things that you have, as against thrashing them or having other use for them. We'll talk about that in a bit, but let's still stay with fashion, because again, you've mentioned the fact that, and like I said earlier on, fashion isn't just about clothing. Of course, it also needs maybe, of course, accessorizing some of the things you're wearing. And so let's talk about the whole, when it comes to putting pieces together and finding what suits what. For a lot of people, wearing of hearts, wearing of using of hearts, there are other things that I know that I can't readily remember. And if I remember, I'll say. Sometimes you see that these things are probably for church wears or for weddings, and not things that ordinarily you can wear every day. But at what point do we begin to look at accessorizing our everyday wears with some of the things that we do have? I know that sometimes women use scarves. Not a lot of people understand how you can actually accessorize, your formal wear or your dinner wears using accessories and all of that. So take us through, especially for the woman or for the women, how easy or is it for us to understand that using of accessories aren't necessarily for the grand events. There are things that we can incorporate into everyday fashion or everyday lifestyle.
Yes, thank you. That's a very good question for me, because accessorizing is quite important. What you would look at first is where you are going.
Okay.
There will be some accessories that might not necessarily do well at some events, but that's not to say whatever you wear cannot be accessorized. If you are going to the office, for instance, and you are dressed formally, for instance, in a suit, a scarf will be a right accessory to add. Conservative earrings. This is, if you're going to a concert, for instance, then you might wear hoops, larger hooped earrings, chains that are much more in your face, you know. So it will have to do first with where you are going. You have to dress for the occasion.
Okay.
So the accessories must also follow the same format for the occasion.
Okay.
So like you said, there's no outfit that cannot be accessorized. There's none. If you're going to church, if you're going to a wedding, if you're going to a cocktail, depending on what you're wearing, you can accessorize it. And when you say accessories, we're talking about jewelry, we're talking about earrings, we're talking about brooches. Brooches have come back a lot into fashion. Sometimes people even put them all over. It doesn't have to be one. What we were used to in fashion of before was you just use one. But these days, it's an outfit on its own. You can put accessories, you can put brooches all over your jacket, and it will work for a particular event. So, like I said, there are hats. So it depends on where you're going. That's where you will start from. That's what else.
What role does color also play here? Some people are colorblind. Some people don't even know how to match colors, and you hear things like, what's my own? I'm going now. So I can wear blue on black, I can wear red on, you know. So what role does color play here, and how do you also blend what it is you're wearing for certain colors that are universal, colors like black, like white? I think red is also universal, things that, you know, cannot usually go on whatever it is that you're wearing. But there's some colors that's maybe for the man or maybe for the woman. Is there any color that is not even a woman's color? I'm not sure. But perhaps, perhaps it is the men that will say, no, you cannot catch me wearing this. But what role does color play when it comes to accessorizing your outfit or accessorizing whatever it is that you're using as a form of fashion?
Yes, colors are quite important. For us Nigerians, we wear any color, any weather, any time of the day, right? For some other countries, they might say, oh, some color is for a season, and you cannot wear white on Memorial Day, or you cannot wear pink during winter or whatnot. But for us, we have that advantage to be able to wear any color we like. I do know that for the men, they prefer conservative colors like the black, the browns, the blue, but really they can also wear any color. It just depends on how you combine the outfit, you know. You can use block colors, for instance, if you are more of the conservative type. And then, yes, and then pastels. A man can wear pink, definitely. You can wear a pink shirt and then wear a blue jacket.
Okay.
And
some people already say, ha, ha, in the studio here, like, ha, ha.
No, you can't. It just depends on how you combine it. You pull in some other accessories. A nice jacket that is dark blue on a pink shirt will really pop.
Okay.
You know, and you wear your khaki pants, for instance. So that definitely works. For the women, I know we can do almost anything. I mean, our prints, like the Ankara you're wearing, they always come in very beautiful colors. So we are more out there with the colors that we wear. Colors also are a form of self-expression, and it would depend on where you are attending to. For instance, some people say if you're going for a wedding, as a guest, you shouldn't wear white and upstage the bride or whatnot. But, you know, you can always mix and match. If you do wear a white dress, you can wear other colors of accessories. But colors do play an important part. But I think you can do them as you want. Because fashion is art. So you can't put it in.
It's an expression of your art.
It's an expression of art. So
right.
You can do it.
Okay. Yeah. Let's come back to the issue of sustainable fashion. For a lot of people, perhaps, of course, they've been doing this, but for some, they probably never understood that, you know, they were actually going into sustainable fashion. that is being able to recycle what they have, or looking at an old dress that you can't fit into anymore, and then you decide to make a skirt out of it, or you decide to just make a jumpsuit out of it. Is this becoming a global conversation, or are we still having this conversation in piecemeal and not readily making it, like they will say in the local parlance, are we louding it enough? Is this a conversation that we must begin to, make conscientious effort at, ensuring that a lot of people know about it? Because we also have a culture of once something is small, or you realize that you cannot wear it anymore, you either thrash it or you pass it on to someone else. But do we also, have we imbibed, the thought that you can actually do something else with your old fabrics? Now I'm asking particularly about us Nigerians, because we're fashionable, and we also have this thought of, these clothes that I've had for many years, people will start thinking I don't have another clothes, so why would I want to recycle or upcycle? So let's look at it from those angles.
Yes, thank you. For me, you bought the clothes yourself with your money. Please wear them again. Wear them as many times as you want. However, if you want to change the style of the clothes, that works as well. Okay. So if you have an outfit that is too small, too tight or whatnot, you can definitely upcycle them, change the style, change it to a skirt, change it to a pair of shorts, or if you have kids, sew it into dresses for them. Keep upcycling. For us in Nigeria, I know we are not, I think thrifting has evolved.
It has.
We don't look at it as beneath one or anyone. So we even have our celebrities having closet sales and whatnot. So I think it's getting more popular to thrift, to exchange clothes. I mean, there are apps where people go in there, you have this, you upload it, someone else has this. If it's something you like, you exchange, and then there's even no money involved. You just find something you want. So I think thrifting should be encouraged.
Okay.
And then for the clothes, definitely upcycle. Change the style, change the way the dress looks, then give out. Because all these old clothes, they go into landfills. These are some of the things that block our drainages and whatnot. So if you don't have use for your clothes, give them to, there are definitely a lot of people that need them.
Okay.
So fashion should be also compassionate,
Right.
It's not just about dressing up and looking nice. You can see it as a way of giving back to the community, give back to homeless people, to shelters and to whatnot. So
right.
I think that's the way to go with fashion these days.
Okay, for someone like you who is, you are in the industry, this is what you do, it's probably easier for you to upcycle. You gave an example of your denim hat or cap a few minutes ago. And so for people who cannot even hold one end of a scissors to another, who cannot even stitch, or who cannot even come up with things like this, are we also at that level where milliners like yourself or accessorizers like yourself can take fabrics or can take items from their clients or their customers and fit them into whatever it is they would like to fit them into? Because you also have people who will tell you, oh, I can't take a sewn fabric from you and turn it into something else. There are some people who can be very finicky about things like that, and they tell you, oh no, my machine is for only new clothes or for new clothes. So yeah, so such conversations, isn't that also able to deter people who would like to upcycle, but for the fear of being judged, for the fear of being looked down on, or for the fear of them, getting a rejection from either their tailors or from, their artisans, just feel, what, it's best to just not bother doing anything with my old items?
Oh, I believe that is the a myopic way to go about things. If you're a designer or, well, I know most designers or tailors or whatnot, you have your niche market and whatnot, but for if you actually want to even make a lot of money, if you focus on upcycling fabrics, I think you will even make so much more. For me, I even encourage people, if you have your old ashoke, your old geles, our parents, our moms have stacks and stacks of geles and ashoke with our ashwebi, culture. You buy these things and then they are there in your wardrobe for years and you may never use them again. Bring them out, bring them to me. I mean, it's something I encourage. Bring
Okay.
your old headpieces, bring your old fabrics. We make them into something new that you can even wear every day. When you see them in a different light, then you are more likely to use them more often. So I do know that taking apart fabric to redo them, it takes a bit more time. So if you have a tailor, a designer that is asking you for slightly more because they have to take apart the fabric, then you should understand that they have to first deconstruct that fabric before they make it into something you would like again. So that's something to consider. And upcycling, even to save the environment. This is something we have to take more seriously. It's not just about the fashion angle about it. Because fashion is so fast these days. They make so many tops fast, so many clothes. People are buying fast fashion. But fashion should be a little slower these days. Take time to make things, and then you even appreciate the craft and the time and effort that has gone to it. It becomes a work of art, not just a piece of fabric
Yeah.
anymore.
So in talking about the craft that you've just mentioned, and then earlier on, you've also talked about the fact that fashion is art. I mean, it's the interpretation of someone else's perspective, bringing it to life. How well are we doing as a country when it comes to, the learning of more artwork, women entrepreneur, ensuring that our young ones also grasp one or two of this, handwork, just to ensure that these crafts do not die. And are we exposing our young ones enough to this work of art?
That's a great question. And I don't think we are. We should expose them more to this. I know there are people learning like the art of tie and dye, but I don't think we are doing it enough. It's something we should even incorporate into our curriculum so that some of these skills don't die with the elderly and the people that have done these things for donkey years. And even sewing, although I know sewing and designing clothes have become quite popular these days. A lot of young ladies and men as well are getting into fashion to sew. But there are other parts of fashion.
Okay.
There's, making the fabrics themselves. We need people who would even add more pizzazz to that process, make it
Okay.
faster so that we can even export them quicker. I know now people sell adire from when people even abroad want to make their prom dresses, they are coming to Nigeria these days to come and buy their dresses and make. But we should expose more of our traditional fabrics in that angle and teach our younger ones how to actually make those things. And then in their young minds and in this age of technology, then they can come up with faster ways to produce these things. I think that's the way they can make it more sustainable and more globally acceptable.
Okay.
Because I think some of our processes are slow. For instance, like if you want to make the idea, although that is the beauty of it, the art, but if there's a way to make it faster so that we open it more up, to the world,
Okay.
because we have so many beautiful fabrics, our ashoke, Ankara, Adire, tie and dye, batik, So it's something I think should be added to like art classes
Right.
in school, secondary schools, even as little as primary school.
So when we talk about accessories earlier on, of course, you mentioned the brooches. I think I also talked about the bags. Of course, our bags are also forms of accessories. So when you
Mm-hmm.
look at some of these things, how are we also getting into that space where we'll begin to use more of our local fabrics, and our local fabrics will become choice, will create choices for people in fashion. I know that, of course, if you think about, I know there are fascinators. Yes, I was going to, yeah, that was what I wanted to remember earlier. There are people making fascinators from Ankara, from Adire now. But again, sometimes you look at those things, and for some, they could think, oh, these things have local perspective. They're not global, and they're not things that you can use round the clock, or things like that. So how do we begin to infuse our local fabrics into things like this, and also ensure that they are sustainable, and are also they have global acceptance?
Yes. The, I believe the way we can do this is to incorporate it into our daily wear. Like if you are going to work, we adopted the foreign suits and skirt suits, trouser suits, and all that. But if we take the time to incorporate them into even our office formal wear, I think that way even the world will accept it because we took other people's fashion and adopted it as the formal thing to wear to work and whatnot. So if we can incorporate our Ankara, make it what you wear to work, not only on Fridays, then it will help to bring out the beauty and the versatility of the fabrics. Even where we live is so humid. Um, our fabrics are breathable and they are you can change them into almost anything.
Okay.
Stiffen it to make it harder, put frills on it, whatnot. They're so versatile. So I think that's the way to go. If we make them a daily wear for all events and every area, then it will be easy for other countries or other spaces to accept it
Right.
as
But
fabric we can wear all the time.
in your own opinion, what are some of the challenges that um, the local milliners, the local fashion designers, the local artisans are facing, which again could be inhibiting them from attaining their full potential, and also ensuring that their crafts are more acceptable?
Yes, thank you. That's I think the most difficult thing for any artisan, any artist, any designer is cost of production. We do not produce a lot of things. For as little as thread, correct me if I'm wrong, even thread, sewing thread. We don't then, for us milliners, we use a fabric called cinnamon. It's made from banana leaves. And imagine if we grow a lot of our food, but we don't have the infrastructure to change those leaves into the fabrics that we need to work.
Okay.
So the first thing is the infrastructure. That's the most difficult thing for any artisan. Everything we buy to use, every material we use mostly is imported. That's the most difficult thing. When I started to make hats 10 years ago, we're buying the cinnamon at 250 naira or so a yard. Today, it's about 8,000 or 9,000 a yard. So imagine that, and maybe you're making a hat that will need to have 3 layers to make it sturdy. So, and then there's other things. You need stiffener, you need feathers, you need even feathers. We have chickens, we grow chickens, we grow dogs, but we can't process all these things to what we designers would use. So they
Right.
just go to waste. And there's nobody there's no, and that is a value chain that is so open and big. If we can just have the infrastructure, people don't have jobs, people don't have what to do. But imagine if banana leaves are harvested. I mean, after taking the banana, what is growing out of the ground, and then it just goes back in and rots.
Right.
But Most people don't know you can take that banana leaf and process it into a fabric. We don't have the infrastructures to do that.
All right.
So that's the major, if
All
we
right.
always say the
The
government,
government,
but
but then we are also governments. We must understand.
yes, we are also government. Start something.
Right. So, Tolu, now that you've challenged us all, that we all are governments in our respective homes, what simple steps can you give, our viewers this morning as to ensuring that, they embrace sustainable fashion in their everyday lives?
Okay. Yes. Just open your wardrobe, shop your wardrobe. You don't have to buy a new thing each time you have an event. You can change things up. What you would usually wear as an inner wear, maybe change it up, add something to it. Shop your wardrobe. That's the first way to make anything sustainable. You don't always have to buy new clothes
Okay.
or a new accessory. If you check, I'm sure you would find something to wear. I know the men will be very happy about this when we say this, but that's not to say we don't want new things. We want new things, as
Right.
often as possible. But check what you have. That's the first step to making things sustainable. Then, if you do want to get a new thing, shop your local artisans. Help with the small businesses. I know we have so many big designers these days, but we have the upcoming startups that are doing very well. Doing their finishing is great, designs are great. Maybe they just don't have the exposure just yet. But you have your local tailor near you. Patronize them. You as the customer can train them in, and when I mean train, you can tell them the designs you want. Sometimes somebody sews, they might not really have the designer eye, but you have the fashion, you know what you want. And I'm sure many of them are willing to, get some opinions on what they do. Anybody that wants to grow anyway needs to be able to take criticism and listen to your customers and whatnot. So those are some of the ways to make fashion sustainable.
All right, this will be a fine place to leave this conversation this morning. Thank you so much, Tolulokwe Oyetunji, Creative Director, Coral Earth Finery, also a millinery designer. Thank you for giving us your time on the program this morning.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate you. All right, enjoy the rest of your day. All right, Ben.
Of course. You as well.
All right, we've been speaking with our guest this morning, and she's taking us through what this means and how we as individuals can also embrace sustainable fashion. So it's a challenge to you this morning. Open that wardrobe of yours and begin to shop your wardrobe. I don't mean, why are you looking at me with your corner eye? I didn't call your name.
I'm trying to agree. I'm trying to agree.
Just check those things that you can turn around. And if you feel there's really nothing you can turn around and you haven't worn something in the last 6 months, it's probably time for those things to exit
to go
your wardrobe. You can do charity, you can give them out, and you can, do you want to do yard sale? Put this one you're wearing on the yard sale. So let's all embrace sustainable fashion this morning. And of course, you can also use some of those old items as patches, as designs on some new things you're making, just so that we can all help save the environment, and you can also allow your wardrobes to breathe. That's the much your take on this side of the table this morning. But before we go, this news just came in, and it's said to be from the acting Federal Controller of Works in Ogun State, who did say that construction work to fix the bad expansion joint on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway will begin on Tuesday, that's next week, and it could take up to a week. So for those who would also be plying that route, plan your journeys, and just know that government is aware that things are happening on that axis. We'll take a quick break. When the conversation returns, Adebinkwe will be here with her Lagos conversation.